guns and hammer skins. You wear my nuts on your Nazi chins. I look good in uniform.
This is part 2 in my educational series on the 7 common traits of fascism. If you are looking for part 1 of the series, I will post a link in the comments because part 1 was banned from TikTok. Today, I'll be covering the second common trait of fascism, nationalistic utopianism. When you think about utopia, you might envision something kind of like this, a beautiful, positive vision of the future. Or, if you're anything like me, you might picture this.
With the first link, the chain is forged. The first speech censured, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably.
So, why then am I using a word like utopia in the context of fascism? The answer to that question is that the fascist uses a kind of backward-looking utopianism, a kind of regressive utopianism. It is the utopia of the past of a particular national and ethnic group. The fascist will either use or create mythologies for the people of a previously existing national perfection that has been ruined by some outsider. And it is this other or this outsider that must be abolished from the nation in order to retrieve the bygone ideal. In Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazis constructed a mythology of a bygone, idealized Aryan past, a past that they would tell the people had somehow been corrupted by Jews, internationalists, elites, and so on. In America today, this backward-looking utopianism is often looking toward the 1950s, a period when it is imagined men were men, women were women, and too often racial groups were kept separated. There were no trans people, all of which is, of course, mythological. None of that is really true. This brings us to another important point. The etymological roots of the word utopia come from the Greek word topos, meaning place, and a negation. Utopia literally translates into no place or not a place. Does this backward-looking mythology of a utopia of the past that never really existed sound familiar? Because it should. Through phrases like "Make America Great Again," we see this kind of backward-looking utopianism. We see contemporary American fascists constructing an image of the past that, of course, was never real, but that nonetheless people have an emotional experience of, a visceral relationship with. And the fascist will have you believe that if we can just get rid of these outsiders, such as immigrants, though not limited to immigrants, then we can reclaim this past that people feel as if was real, but never was. Importantly, the fascist, in fact, knows that this past is not real and never will be real. This is, in fact, necessary to their power. If they were able to achieve their goals, if they were able to bring about the utopia that they claim to desire, then the people would no longer need them. The people would no longer need their authority. The people would no longer need the fascist to be in charge. And so, for the fascist, utopia will always be either in the past or in some distant future after we have supposedly eliminated all of the enemies. But this time will never come. It never has been, and it never will be. And this is a good thing. Utopia would be a final point. But in a free society, we must always be able to strive to do better. We must always be open to the possibility that we are yet imperfect, and we must be open to change. We must be willing to struggle for the freedom to change.
Engage.